welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. Today we are introducing our brand new set, Yay Kites and its coordinating dies, and Big Scripty Words and its coordinating dies too. These sets are so much fun, so let's go ahead and stamp them out. Yay Kites has this great bunny, a squirrel, and a cute little bird. It also has a large kite and a small kite, some clouds to help set the scene, and then a bunch of accessories for the kite. So we have this cute little kite tail, and then a straight kite tail there. We have this great kite string with a little heart, and then some plain kite strings in different lengths and styles depending on what you need for your card. We also have one big long kite string too. Then we have those little bows that you can add to the kite strings in two different sizes, in both open and in solid. And then we also have a solid heart, a solid star, and an open heart, and an open star. And these are great for stamping all around your kite scene. Here we have the word yay and the word hello, and these are perfect as sentiments and as kite strings too, which is so cool. Next, we're stamping out Big Scripty Words, and the trick to this set is to drop your stamp on your work surface and then pick it up with your stamp block. That way it's perfectly straight on your block so that it will line up with the die. So we have congrats, happy, birthday, thanks, love ya, and my favorite, big hugs. Then we also have some really cute birds that can hold on to these words. So we have two little standing birds and two little flying birds also. And then, of course, we have a nice big exclamation point to add to the end of these phrases. And here is a look at both stamp sets and all of those cool scripted sentiments. Now I'm going to use some Copic markers to color in the images from these two different sets. So I'm laying down my dark, and then I'm going to blend it out with my medium, and E31 and E34 are my favorite bunny colors, I think because they look like the bunnies that are in my neighborhood. They're kind of all that color. So now I'm going to color the squirrel too, and you can see I've added some shading there around kind of the swirl of his tail on the side of his face and around his leg. I also added a little bit under his chin too, kind of using the different swirls and curves in the stamp as my guide as to where the shading should go for this cute little squirrel. I'm going to add a little bit more darkness around those shaded areas just to give even more of a three-dimensional look. Next up, it's time to color the bird. I'm laying down my light, then my dark, and then blending that dark out with my lightest marker and just adding a little orange beak for him there. I'm going to color both the small and big kite in the same way, and so I love these four colors for the kites. I think it's nice and happy and summery, and I'm adding a little bit of darkness towards that inner corner and then blending it out with the light marker to the edge. I'm touching my BG11 to my BG13 marker to create a medium shade to help me blend these two markers together. And then next I'll work on the little green part of this fun kite. I'm just going to add a little bit of blue to the edge of the kite and then just blend it out with my colorless blender. And now add a little color to the birds from Big Scripty Words. So I'm just going to add some darkness towards the bottom and blend that out. And then darkness again on kind of the side and blend it out on those two birds. Just adds a little extra something to the birds, but just two colors since they're pretty small images. Here we have the coordinating dies for Yay Kites. You can either bend them apart at the tabs or separate them with your wire snips. I'm just going to line it up with my colored images there, hold all the dies in place with some low tack tape, run it through my die cut machine, and have perfectly die cut images every time. Now here is a look at all of the images from Yay Kites. I love that there's so many things for setting the scenes, lots of options for your kites from kind of normal kite strings to word-shaped kite strings, which is really fun. So you can see how great those line up with the kites, and then how the critters have their arms outstretched so that they can hold the kite string and you can create fun scenes with them. They really are so much fun to layer. I just love layering all the different strings and just having a lot of fun with it. Next, we have the dies for Big Scripty Words, which once again you can separate at those wire tabs by bending them or by using your wire snips. And these dies are some of my favorite dies from this release, and that's because they cut out these words and it looks so cool. So I'm just going to line those up right there. Run it through my die cut machine and then pop that out, and it is so cool. It is such a delicate look. And what's cool about these words is they can be used as kite strings with yay kites, but they're also just great big sentiments for your cards. And I love that you can have that detail of a die cut sentiment, which is so cool. Now these little birds in this set are great because they can hold on to these sayings too, and that would make for a nice, cute, and simple card. Now I'm cutting some simple puffy clouds, and I'm going to use the new Make Me Smile dies to make these clouds smiling from my cool kite scene. So I'm just going to position those there so that the clouds are kind of looking up and down at each other, and then I can hold those smiles in place with some low tack tape and then run it through my die cut machine. And now I have some awesome smiling little clouds. I just think they're so cute. Next up, it's time to start working on the base of this card. So I'm going to be working with some Let's Polka in the Meadow paper. I'm going to cut it to 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And then I'm going to take some of the grasshopper from Let's Polka in the Meadow and cut that to 4 inches by 1 1/2. I'm going to use the grassy border die to die cut some grass. I love the idea of some polka dotted grass, and that's going to line up perfectly with my striped sky. I've used the largest stitch rectangle with some guava cardstock, and I'm going to lay my whole sky scene on there just to have a nice little stitched edge and guava border around it. And now I'm going to create the card base at 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 and add that right to my card base. Now it's time to start working on my scene. So I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue to this first kite tail, and I'm just going to line that up right behind the kite. And then I'm going to start using the word thanks from Big Scripty Words as my kite string. So I'm going to add some liquid glue to that top part and glue it to my kite first. And this is going to help me kind of position it for my card. So I'm going to glue the top part down first, then lay it where I want it to be on my card, add a little liquid glue there, and now I can line up my bunny with it so it looks like the bunny is holding that kite string. Now that the whole thing is glued together, I'm going to add some foam tape to the kite and the bunny and line that up on my card. And because there's foam tape on those two things, now the thanks looks three-dimensional too. I added that cute little bird, and now it's time for some foam tape on my happy smiling clouds. I'll put those there, and now I have a great happy scene that I think would make just about anybody's day. Another great thing about this card design is all you have to do is change the word and you can have cards for all sorts of different occasions. I'm adding a little color to the bird, and I've used a cross-stitch circle there to cut some mermaid cardstock and some grasshopper polka as my grass. I'm going to stamp the kites on pattern paper. This is one of my favorite ways to use the kites is paper piecing them. It's a great easy way to add some color and use up some pattern paper scraps too. I'm going to use the coordinating dies to cut those out, and now I'll have a little striped and plaid kite. Now this card design here is based off of one by Shari that I just love. She had a circle card with the kites kind of flying off the top. So I'm really excited to kind of use her idea and add my own little spin on it. And I've cut a bunch of different colored kite strings here, and I can save the other ones for other cards. I decided to use a yellow one and a pink one to kind of coordinate with the kite. Next up, I am going to double stamp my clouds in Manatee ink because I didn't want it as dark as Hippo, but I didn't want it as light as Manatee. So by double stamping Manatee, I've kind of created a third shade of gray. I'm going to die cut those clouds, and now I can start putting together my little scene. So I'm going to add some tape runner to the back of the kite and the squirrel, and then I can attach the string behind the squirrel and then behind the kite, and the same thing with my little bird. Next, I'm going to use the simple stitch hillside border to cut a nice simple hill for this cute little scene. And then next, I'm going to use guava ink to stamp a heart on the kite. And Shari did this, and I thought it was just the cutest little extra added detail. Now, I decided to make my scene smaller. So I went down to the 3 1/2 inch cross stitch circle and then cut a guava scallop circle around it. So I decided to make the scene just a little bit smaller. And so I'm just going to cut down that hill with the smaller circle there so that it's going to line up with my 3 1/2 inch cross stitch circle scene here. So I'm going to put that grass down and then add foam dots to my squirrel and my bird, and so I can put them right on the card and have those kites flying off the top of the card. I'm going to put my clouds on with some foam tape also. Next up, I am scoring a piece of cardstock. I'm going to take my cross stitch circle and have the top part of the circle extending past that fold so that it won't cut through the top part of that fold. So as I run it through my die cut machine, it's going to create a card base in the shape of a circle since the top part of that didn't cut all the way through. So here we have a nice little circle card base. I'll add some tape runner to that and then line my circle there right on top so that I have a circle-shaped card base. Next, I'm stamping the hello from Yay Kites in some guava ink. I'm going to die cut it with the awesome die for it. And then here I have this really cool hello. I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back of it and have my sentiment be on the inside of the card. And I love that by having it die cut like that, it just adds a little extra something than just stamping it. And so here is my cute little scallop circle shaped card. I love how the kites are flying off the top. It's just a fun and happy scene. Next up, I'm going to be using our puffy cloud borders to cut 2 pieces here that are going to line up with the bottom of this 4 by 5 1/4 card base. Now I want to create kind of a light sky, so I'm using peacock feathers and tumbled glass, and I'm going to start off of the card base and then move that ink onto the card base, blending it and making it really nice and light and airy. Then I'll switch to tumbled glass so that the color gets lighter and lighter to the top, and so it's almost just white at the very top of the card. Now I'm going to lay these 2 pieces on the bottom. This card is a variation of the first card I did, but instead of grass, we're going to use clouds. I thought the idea of the bunnies kind of and the bird hanging out in the clouds would be really cool. So we're going to use the same cardstock base there with the stitch rectangle, but with peacock cardstock this time. We're going to lay the big hug sentiments between the kite and the bird, add some foam tape and just pop that right on. I can add the little bird there on the bottom. And then I thought it'd be fun to have another little cloud layer there. So I cut another cloud base. I'm just going to tape that to the bottom, and then I can add my bird right back on. And I think this is such a fun scene with the bird and the bunny kind of hanging out in the sky. I'm adding some 2 stamp clouds there and then adding the whole scene to a card base. And I just love how this looks. I love that you can take the same idea as the other card and create a similar card off of that idea, but a totally different look. I also love that you can just use any of the sentiments from Big Scripty Words or Yay Kites and use the same card design for lots of different occasions, which is so fun. Now here is a look at all 3 cards. I just love how fun they are. I love the one in the sky and the one in the grass, and then the circle-shaped card might be my favorite, and the sentiment hidden on the inside is just too cute. So this is Yay Kites and its coordinating dies and Big Scripty Words and its coordinating dies. I love that Yay Kites is so much fun for creating cute summery scenes with those critters holding the kite strings, and I love that you can use kite strings or the words from both Big Scripty Words and Yay Kites as your kite strings. And that's the best thing about Big Scripty Words. They work as kite strings, but they work as sentiments for your cards. I love their large scale. It's a great everyday go-to set. So I cannot wait to see what kind of cool scenes you guys create with Yay Kites and how you use the new Big Scripty Words. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!